scavenger hunt recording. So I have gone to Walgreens and found brand name Tylenol and then a regular acetaminophen that is non-branded, sold through Walgreens. Both are 100. Both packages contain 100 tablets, 325 milligrams of acetaminophen each. The generic is $2.99 and the Tylenol brand is $8.49, which is quite a price difference. The price difference largely probably due to marketing the brand Tylenol. In terms of ingredients, we've got, again, the same active ingredient of acetaminophen, 325 milligrams. The difference between the brand and the generic is in the inactive ingredients, in terms of what they are and the amount of each. The order of ingredients on the label reflects, the amount of each ingredient as well. For example, the generic has cornstarch first, so that means that tablet has a greater concentration or amount of cornstarch in it versus the brand Tylenol tablet that their first ingredient is magnesium stearate. Okay, so inactive ingredients for the generic, we've got cornstarch, povidone, sodium starch glycolate, and stearic acid. The inactive ingredients for the brand name Tylenol, we've got magnesium stearate, modified starch, powdered cellulose, pre-gelatinized starch, and sodium starch glycolate. The magnesium stearate in the Tylenol brand kind of correlates to the stearic acid in the generic, used as a lubricating agent generally to help prevent the sticking of the chemical powders to the manufacturing equipment during the compression of medication into tablet form. So the powdered cellulose and the povidone, powdered cellulose in the brand and the povidone in the generic kind of correlate to each other. They are used as for bulking and in dispensing and suspending the active ingredient acetaminophen in the tablets. And then the starches in both the generic and brand are used for binding and also disintegrating agent. Basically, the starches are there to kind of help hold it all together. And then when you take the drug, drink some water with it, the water will disintegrate the starch and allow for the disbursement of the active ingredient, acetaminophen. Okay, so let's get out of this. So next we're going to talk about patents. So in my search for a list of drugs recently off patent, I went to the FDA and I could find a list of off patent and off exclusivity drugs without an approved generic. And there's, they break it down by month, year, just because there's constant change in pharmaceuticals. And let's see. Where did I go? Generic drug development. So I found a list here also of where they update for generic drug approval. And you can take a look at it again based on year as well. Previous years, we've got 2017, 2018, 2019 of generic drug approvals. So for patents, basically when a drug manufacturer decides they want to create a drug, they file a patent, and it's good for 20 years. Apparently, it's set by statute. The current term of a new patent is 20 years from the date on which the application for the patent was filed in the United States. Although there are other factors that can apparently affect the duration of the patent, but generally it's 20 years. Let's see. According to drugs.com, it says when patents or other periods of exclusivity expire, other manufacturers can submit an abbreviated new drug application and the FDA for approval to market a generic version of the brand drug. So, after the 20 years, then another drug manufacturing company can then fill out this application and try to gain approval for their generic version of the patented brand drug. What does this mean for consumers? Basically, if a drug you need is currently on patent, then you're stuck kind of paying for that brand name expensive medication. Once the patent expires and then a generic has been approved and marketed, is available on the market, then you can either stay with the expensive brand name drug or try out the generic drug. I know that if you are, depending on your insurance company, they will generally want you to switch over to the generic drug, just because it is more cost effective. And again, as we saw when comparing the generic Tylenol to the brand Tylenol, generic drugs are very similar to the brand drug. Let's see. So the drug that I have chose, the brand drug that I've chose is Epclusa. And let me separate this out so we can do a split screen. Where'd it go? Okay. Anyway, so I chose Epclusa. It is a brand drug to treat hepatitis C infection, and it is manufactured by Gilead Sciences. The active ingredient is sofosbuvir and velpatasvir. It's a 12-week treatment, and it costs about $76,000 to take that for the 12-week duration. I previously worked at a healthcare center that had a hepatitis C clinic, and a lot of patients were on that. And also then when I did appeals and grievances, we would get quite a few appeals for hepatitis C medications, and I would see Epclusa all the time. The generic for the drug is where'd it go? Where'd it go? No. Is let me just see. There it is. Come on. Anyway, so I said the brand name is manufactured by Gilead Sciences. The generic is manufactured by Asigua Therapeutics. Here's the drug detail on the generic. It's the same ingredients, sofosbuvir and velpatasvir, again manufactured by Asigua Therapeutics. And I believe that Epclusa was available in like 2015 or 2016. And then this generic by Asigua came out a couple years later. And I'm wondering, okay, so if there's a patent, then how could this generic be marketed so soon? And it turns out that Asigua Therapeutics is a subsidiary of Gilead. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, why would this company want to market or manufacture their own generic? Because the generic version of this medication costs roughly around 25,000 versus again the brand where it's like 76,000. And Gilead says, they authorized it for, various reasons. Launching these authorized generics is the best solution available for us today to quickly introduce lower price alternative, blah, blah, blah. Essentially, it's about money. Then I was thinking about it in my work in appeals and grievances for various medications. We get a list of constant, new meds that are coming onto the market and what we're going to be switching to, where we were approving a lot of Epclusa for Hep C treatment. And like a year or so ago, we switched over to Mavorette, which is manufactured by AbbVie, which is another drug company. Mavorette is, their brand drug for hepatitis C treatment, but it is an 8-week course treatment and it costs around 25,000. So Mavorette came on the market, and then Gilead, was like, I'm thinking Gilead was like, well, that's going to take a big chunk out of our Epclusa brand drug if, we don't market something that's, closer in price to what Mavorette is. So I'm thinking that's why Gilead said, oh, hey, let's launch this generic so we don't lose a chunk of the market to this other drug that came out that's a lot cheaper than Epclusa. Anyway, so let's see. Now I'm going to go to Course Point. Nope. Actually, go to the scavenger hunt. So we're going to go to Course Point and go to Stedman's. I'm going to search for pharmacology. Oop, can't type. Oh no. Oh Lord. Pharmacology. Sorry, my internet is very slow. Okay, so definition of pharmacology: the science concerned with drugs and their sources, appearance, chemistry, actions, and uses. So let's go. What's the next one? We've got to click on this link here. So the most important must-know drugs for the NCLEX. I chose a diuretic. I chose Lasix. And now we're going to go back to the point and, or wait, no, where do we go? Finally, course, Lippincott Advisor. Oh, module. So, modules. Module 1. Download the active learning guide. And here is where our medication information sheet can be found. Right there. So my medication sheet, here is my medication sheet that I completed for Lasix, loop diuretic, antihypertensive. I will obviously attach it in the discussion as required for everyone to review. Next step, navigate to this website for the COVID vaccine information. I selected the Moderna vaccine. And completed my worksheet on that as well, which is right here. I will attach it again to the discussion for everyone to review. The websites that I used for my information, I went to the CDC and utilized information about the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine here, and also went to the FDA, utilized information here, and the no, not that fact sheet, the fact sheet for healthcare providers administering the vaccine for further information. And I also used some info from the Mayo Clinic as well. Okay, so the PrepU, so I did my PrepU and course point for chapter 2. I got 4 out of 5 on this one. So I went to the, let's see, what question did I do? Okay, so I did this one. So clicked on that and it opened up the text. And right here is where it says oral administration. Oh, highlighted right here. Oral route is the most frequently used drug administration route in clinical practice. So I copied that and pasted it in my notes and saved. That's it. Completed my scavenger hunt. I will attach this video and my 2 med worksheets to discussions. Thank you.